The reason I came here tonight is to propose to Yin, to ask her to be my wife. Jungkook's firm voice echoed, accompanied by his serious demeanor and unwavering gaze. There wasn't even a hint of jest in his words. In front of him, Yin stood frozen. She never expected her older brother's friend to come for this reason. Usually, this men only came over to meet her brother, to discuss their dangerous business and black market organization. But this time, to propose? Yin's mind went blank. She couldn't fully process Jungkook's words. Unlike her mother Erin and her brother Minju looked excited and enthusiastic about Jungkook's proposal. Minju smirked. "So you were serious when you said that yesterday," he chuckled. "I'm always serious when it comes to Yin," Jungkook replied calmly, his eyes still fixed on the beautiful girl now looking down. A faint smile appeared on his lips. He knew Yin must be in shock. "Jungkook, you're not joking with that statement, are you?" asked Erin, Yin's mother. Jungkook shifted his focus to the gentle woman, who should be around the same age as his late mother. Ever since his mother passed, Jungkook had looked to Erin as a maternal figure. "I'm not joking, Auntie. I truly want to marry Yin." Erin smiled. She had always wanted to see Yin get married. It wasn't that she was rushing things. She just wanted someone who could take better care of her daughter. The world out there was getting tougher, and she couldn't bear the thought of her beloved daughter ending up with the wrong man, especially if it meant being caught in the wrong crowd. Yin had always lived with her mother and brother. Her father passed away when she was still a child. Ever since, she had been pampered and closely guarded, growing up into an obedient and naive young woman. And now, the one proposing was Jungkook. Neither Erin nor Minju doubted his ability to protect Yin. Besides being wealthy and powerful, he also led the organization once run by his late father. In their eyes, he was the perfect match. Erin turned to her daughter, who was still looking down. "Sweetheart, what do you think? Do you want to marry Jungkook?" she asked gently. Slowly, Yin lifted her face. She glanced briefly at Jungkook before turning her gaze to her mother. "But Mom, I'm still in college," she said in a small voice. "So what if you're still in college? There's no rule saying you can't get married while studying, right?" "Well, no," Yin replied, confused. "But I'm still a kid," she added. That answer made Minju, Erin, and Jungkook laugh. Yin never changed. She was still so innocent, even after being in university for 2 years. "You're already 20, Yin. You're not a kid anymore. You're legally an adult in Korea," Minju chuckled. "Even if your attitude still screams child," he teased playfully. Yin pouted and glared at her brother in annoyance. Minju loved teasing her, but he was also the first to step up whenever she needed anything. "But why so suddenly?" Yin asked, now turning her gaze to Jungkook. "It's not sudden at all," Jungkook replied with a smile. "I've liked you for a long time. You were just the only one who didn't realize it." Yin was stunned. Minju could only shake his head. His cold-hearted friend had never been interested in dating, always saying it was a waste of time. Erin was touched by Jungkook's sincerity. She believed he would take good care of Yin. "Sweetheart, what do you think? Don't you like Jungkook too?" Erin asked playfully. Yin jolted in shock. Her eyes widened. "How did you know?" she blurted, then immediately covered her mouth, realizing she had just exposed herself. They all laughed. "You're too transparent, sweetheart," Erin chuckled. "Ask your brother. I bet he knows too." Yin turned to Minju, who nodded between his lingering laughter. "I'm pretty sure even Jungkook noticed it," he said teasingly. Yin looked at Jungkook. Seeing him chuckle made her shoulders slump. She thought she'd done a good job hiding her feelings. "So, how did they all find out?" "So, do you accept my proposal, Yin?" This time it was Jungkook who asked. A blush crept up Yin's cheeks. With a shy smile, she nodded. "But I still want to finish college, okay? And you both have to support me," she added playfully. Jungkook let out an affectionate laugh, a sense of relief washing over him. "Of course, I'll always support you." Erin exhaled a long breath of relief. Lately, she'd been unwell. She worried about Yin, especially since Minju had been getting busier with the mafia organization he ran with Jungkook. Jungkook's proposal felt like the answer to her worries. "Jungkook, I'm entrusting Yin to you. Take care of her and love her sincerely. Don't ever hurt her. You know how much we've protected her all this time. Don't let us down," Erin said gently. "If you ever hurt her, I'll be the first one to come after you," Minju said firmly. Jungkook nodded confidently. "You can trust me, Andy. I'll protect Yin with all my heart. I love her, and I will never hurt her." Yin smiled, wiping a tear from the corner of her eye. She felt so lucky to be surrounded by people who loved her so much. At only 20 years old, she never expected that she would soon become someone's wife. Yin sat in the campus cafeteria with her best friends, Yuju, Rose, and Yuna. The four of them had been inseparable since their first year of college, and now they were already in their third year. As usual, the cafeteria was bustling with students during lunch hour. Yin glanced at each of her friends as they enjoyed their meals. She hesitated, but she couldn't keep this to herself any longer. What do you guys think about getting married young? Her question made Yuna stop mid-scoop. Yuju paused her chewing, and Rose choked on her juice. Wait, why are you asking that, Yin? Yuna asked, lowering her spoon back onto her plate. She was still shocked by the sudden question from their usually innocent friend. Yin pouted, thinking their reactions were a bit much. I'm just asking, okay? Why are you guys asking me back? She protested. Yuju chuckled, already used to Yin's sometimes childish behavior. We're just surprised a question like that came out of your pure mouth. She laughed, prompting the others to giggle too. Yin blinked in confusion. So if I ask something like that, my mouth isn't pure anymore? They all burst into laughter again. It reminded them just how genuinely innocent and naive Yin still was. Whatever method her mom and brother had used to raise her clearly worked. She was nothing like them, who had all gotten a little naughty over the years. That's not what we meant, my dearest bestie, Rose said playfully, unable to resist pinching Yin's cheek. We just mean, we're all still in college. You almost never talk about things like marriage and such, so your question really surprised us, she explained gently, making sure Yin could understand. After Yin nodded in understanding, Rose continued, so what made you ask about getting married young? That's really out of the blue. Yin looked nervous as all three sets of eyes turned toward her. She bit her lower lip. Well, someone proposed to me yesterday, she said softly. What? Huh? You got proposed to? Before Yuna could say anything more, Yin quickly clamped a hand over her mouth. Shh, not so loud, Yuna, she said in a panic, glancing left and right. Hopefully, they weren't drawing attention. Are you serious, Yin? How? Rose asked, still shocked. I mean, who proposed to you? Yin grimaced, not expecting such strong reactions. He's my brother's best friend. Senior Jungkook, Yuju gasped. When Yin nodded, she shook her head in disbelief. Oh my god, you've never dated anyone, but the first guy who proposes is Jungkook. Did you say yes, Yin? Yin nodded. Yeah, I said yes. I like Senior Jungkook too, so there's no reason to turn him down, she answered casually. Her three friends grimaced slightly. Yin was still so innocent. But you're still in college. Are you sure you can manage both a husband and your studies? Yuju asked, doubtful. I don't know. I haven't lived it yet, Yin replied calmly, which only made her friends more anxious. But Senior Jungkook said he'll help me until I graduate. Well, Senior Jungkook is a good guy. He'll probably treat you like a princess, just like your mom and brother do. Yuju chuckled. She was happy her friend would finally have a husband. Wow, that means our sweet little Yin won't be so innocent for much longer, Yuju teased. Right? I bet Senior Jungkook will teach her everything, Yuna added with a mischievous wink. Let's just wait until Yin gets addicted to doing it, Rose laughed. Yin furrowed her brow in confusion. She didn't get it. What do you mean? And all three of her friends burst into laughter again. It was unusual for Jaehyun to see Jungkook smiling at his phone screen. As far as he knew, Jungkook was stiff and cold. His expressions never varied beyond neutral or angry. But today was different. The usual intimidating aura that filled the room seemed to have vanished. You're seriously terrifying, Jaehyun said, staring at Jungkook in disbelief. Jungkook looked up, momentarily pulling his attention away from the phone where he had been texting his fiancée. Since when were you in my office? He asked. Jaehyun scoffed. Jungkook was acting really strange. In all their years of friendship, Jaehyun had never seen him so distracted that he didn't notice someone entering the room. What's with you today? You seem different, Jaehyun asked curiously. Jungkook just shrugged indifferently. His attention went back to his phone, as his fiancée had just texted him that her class would start soon. A faint smile played on his lips. He typed a quick reply, then looked back at Jaehyun. Without answering the question, he handed over a sparkling silver invitation card. Jaehyun frowned and took it. After reading it, his eyes widened in shock. You're getting married? Jungkook nodded nonchalantly. As you can see. Jaehyun blinked multiple times. Jungkook had been single since he was an embryo. He'd always seemed completely uninterested in women. And now suddenly he was handing out a wedding invitation? Of course, Jaehyun was stunned. You never told me anything, Jaehyun protested, clearly offended. After all, he'd shared plenty of his own love stories with Jungkook over the years. What for? The important thing is that now you know I'm getting married, Jungkook replied, annoyingly casual. Jaehyun rolled his eyes. His friend was full of surprises. They had been friends since college, which was also how Jaehyun had gotten to know Minju. Wait, Park Yin. His brows furrowed. You mean Yin? Minju's little sister? Jungkook nodded firmly. Yeah. Who else named Yin would it be? But isn't she still really young? She's 20. That's legal enough to marry, Jungkook answered lazily. There was a 5-year age gap between him and Yin, but he didn't see that as a big deal. But is she really ready for marriage? Jaehyun asked doubtfully. Didn't you say her family is super protective and spoils her? She's ready, and she likes me too, Jungkook answered proudly. Jaehyun clicked his tongue, but deep down, he was actually happy that Jungkook had finally found someone. From the way Jungkook was acting, it was clear that he genuinely liked Yin. But isn't she still innocent and naive? Jaehyun recalled his own encounter with Yin. And I'll be the one to teach her how to grow up and become an adult, Jungkook said with a mischievous smirk. Jaehyun clicked his tongue again. Poor Yin. Her brain would probably no longer be pure after marrying Jungkook. Yin and Jungkook's wedding was held in a luxurious hotel ballroom 1 month later. Many guests attended, including Yin's university friends. No one expected the sweet and innocent girl to get married so soon. Many hearts were broken. But when they saw that her husband was someone like Jungkook, they had no choice but to accept it. In every aspect, Jungkook was far superior to any of the students who liked Yin. After the wedding, Jungkook took Yin to live in his private mansion. There were many bodyguards and several maids hired by Jungkook to protect and assist Yin at home. Jungkook didn't allow Yin to do any housework. He didn't want her to get tired, especially since she was still in college. Yin's only responsibilities were to study and be a good wife. At least, that's what Jungkook thought. Yin stepped out of the bathroom awkwardly. It was her first time sleeping next to a man who wasn't part of her family. She wore her usual long pajamas, just like at home, and walked nervously toward the bed. Jungkook was already there, staring at her intently. Come here. Jungkook patted the space next to him, asking her to sit. Yin obeyed, sitting beside him with her head down. Jungkook gave a small smile. He felt a strange warmth in his heart seeing her listen to him. He stood up and grabbed the hairdryer. You'll get sick if you sleep with wet hair, he said, starting to dry her hair. Yin sat with her back to Jungkook while he carefully dried her hair. The scent of strawberries wafted into the air, making Jungkook lean closer. He pressed a soft kiss to the nape of her neck, causing Yin to flinch in surprise. Jungkook, that tickles, Yin giggled as he continued to kiss her neck. Jungkook chuckled too. Once he was done drying her hair, he hugged Yin from behind. She could feel his heart beating rapidly against her back, just like her own. Your heartbeat is so fast. Just like mine, Yin said, without any shame. Or maybe she was just too innocent. Jungkook nuzzled into the crook of her neck, charmed by her candidness. That's because I love you. My heart always races whenever I'm near you, he replied. He began to kiss her neck again. Especially now that I can hold you like this, he added, his voice husky. Yin shivered. She wanted to break free from Jungkook's embrace, as her emotions were all over the place. Her heart felt like it was about to explode. Jungkook's hand touched her belly over her pajamas, making her let out a soft, though she didn't even realize it. Jungkook smirked. He wanted to touch her so badly. As his hand slipped under her shirt, Yin suddenly yawned. Jungkook, I'm sleepy. I'm tired, Yin mumbled, resting her head against his chest. Jungkook blinked in surprise. You want to sleep? Yin turned around and nodded without hesitation. Her eyes were watery from yawning. I want to sleep. Sleep, as in actual sleep. Is there a fake kind of sleep? Yin asked innocently, looking confused. Jungkook's vision of their first night together completely crumbled the moment he saw Yin's innocent face. She didn't even seem to realize how sinful her little earlier had been, stirring up his desire like that. Yin, do you know what newlyweds usually do on their wedding night? Jungkook asked, half in disbelief. Don't they usually go on a trip? Yin asked back with a clueless look on her face. Now it was Jungkook's turn to be confused. A trip? Yin nodded. They go abroad or to beautiful places. That's called a honeymoon, right? Jungkook narrowed his eyes, trying to tease her a little, at least to see how much she really understood. And what do they do there? Yin furrowed her brows. They visit pretty places to relax and refresh their minds. Hearing that, Jungkook cursed internally. Damn, Yin's family really had protected this girl so much that she didn't know anything about intimacy. Trying to stay patient, Jungkook decided to let go of his expectations for their first night and fulfill Yin's innocent wish instead. Alright, let's just go to sleep, Jungkook said reluctantly. Yin smiled and positioned herself in the middle of the bed. Jungkook quickly followed and wrapped his arms tightly around his wife. At the very least, he wasn't sleeping alone anymore. Good night, baby. Sleep well, he whispered, kissing her forehead. Yin, already barely awake, gave a small nod before drifting off completely. As for Jungkook, he'd have to train himself to control his urges, because the truth was, he didn't sleep a wink that night. A few days later. Yin, don't you feel hot wearing those long pajamas every night? Jungkook asked, noticing once again that Yin was wearing her usual full-length sleepwear. No, not at all. The AC is on, she replied innocently. Yin's pure and honest answers never failed to crush Jungkook's hopes. He gave a weak smile. As a grown man, he wished his wife would wear something a little sexier to bed, something that showed off her curves instead of always covering everything up with oversized clothes. It had been almost 2 weeks since their wedding, and during that time, Jungkook had to give himself credit for being so patient with Yin's innocence. Jungkook picked up a paper bag from the table and handed it to Yin. Wouldn't you like to wear something like this? At least when you're going to sleep, he said, hoping he could finally feel her skin against his when they cuddled. Yin opened the paper bag and pulled out the black lingerie inside, holding it up in front of her face. Jungkook, what is this? She asked in surprise. No. This couldn't even be called clothing. Wearing it was practically the same as being. It was sheer and only covered the most critical parts of the body. It's called lingerie. Wives usually wear it to please their husbands, Jungkook replied, mentally cursing himself for sounding like he was explaining things to a child. It's a special kind of outfit a wife wears in front of her husband, he added carefully. He hoped this time Yin would understand. He had tried to drop hints before, but her naivety still got in the way. Yin clicked her tongue. But I'll get cold if I wear something like this, she pouted. And it's way too revealing. I'd feel really uncomfortable in it. She placed the lingerie back into the paper bag, leaving Jungkook to let out a long sigh. Once again, he had failed. Alright, if you don't want to, Jungkook said, sounding resigned. But, can I ask for one thing? He added hopefully. What is it? Yin asked, blinking cutely. I want to kiss your lips. Is that okay? Jungkook needed her permission, even though technically, he didn't have to ask. He was her husband, after all, and everything about her was already his. But because he cared for her deeply, Jungkook didn't want to make Yin feel uncomfortable in any way. Yin flinched in surprise. She had never kissed anyone before. Even though her friends often said kissing felt good, she had never been interested. The thought of exchanging saliva with a guy made her feel weird, but rejecting Jungkook now felt impolite. She let out a soft sigh. Alright. She would let Jungkook kiss her lips. To be honest, she was a little curious too, about what a kiss would feel like. But something was still bothering her. Yin bit her lip nervously before finally asking in a soft voice, but, Jungkook, don't you feel weird? I mean, we just exchanged saliva. Jungkook, who had been quietly staring at Yin, raised an eyebrow. What? You know, saliva. Yin looked down, scratching the back of her neck even though it wasn't itchy. Don't you find it strange? Or gross? Jungkook let out a quiet sigh, his tone still calm and flat. If I thought it was gross, I wouldn't have asked to kiss you. Yin blinked slowly. But, it's my saliva. Jungkook stared at Yin for a moment, his expression still cool, though his tone now carried a hint of amusement. What do you think I am? A kindergarten kid scared of germs? But still, Yin was about to continue when Jungkook cut her off. If your saliva were disgusting, I wouldn't have married you. Yin fell silent. Oh, so it's only gross if it's someone else's? Obviously. So, you've kissed other girls before? Jungkook gave her a lazy glance. No, I haven't. Whose lips do you think I've kissed? Yin's mouth formed a little "Oh really? You've never kissed anyone? Why? Are you disappointed?" Jungkook replied coolly, but there was a teasing tone in his voice. Yin panicked. No, I'm happy actually. I mean, well, I just... Jungkook watched her flustered expression and sighed again. I'm not grossed out, baby. I'm only grossed out if you keep saying the word saliva. Yin giggled. Sorry, but it is what it is. Jungkook rolled his eyes, then in a flat but deep voice, said, Quiet, come here. Why? I'm going to kiss you. Before you say saliva one more time and completely kill my mood. With an even redder face, Yin nodded slowly and leaned in. Her heart was racing. She had never been this close to a guy before, especially not in a moment like this. Jungkook kept his usual calm expression, his gaze deep and steady. He lifted a hand to gently cup Yin's cheek. Relax, "I'm not going to eat you," he said, flat but with a touch of warmth. "But my heart feels like it's going to explode," Yin whispered nervously. "Mine too," Jungkook replied softly. "The only difference is I don't talk as much as you do." Yin tried not to laugh. "Well, you're not exactly chatty." Jungkook leaned in slowly, his face now only inches from hers. "But when I do talk, it makes your heart race, doesn't it?" Yin was just about to answer when Jungkook's lips met hers. The kiss was gentle, slow, and cautious. Jungkook wasn't rushing. He kissed her as if afraid to hurt her. Yin hadn't responded yet, so Jungkook pulled back slightly, looking at her with hazy eyes. "Do you feel disgusted?" He asked in a soft whisper. Yin quickly shook her head. "No, not if it's with you." Jungkook gave her a gentle smile. "Then kiss me back, okay?" Yin didn't answer, just nodded. Jungkook kissed her again, soft and full of feeling. Slowly, Yin began to respond. Her hands clutched at his shirt, surprised by the warmth and strange sensation that ran through her body. She closed her eyes, trying to calm her racing heart. Jungkook deepened the kiss, his head tilting slightly as he slowly slipped his tongue between her lips. Relief washed over him when Yin allowed it. He had been worried she would find it gross, but it seemed his wife was actually enjoying the moment. He held back as best he could, not wanting to go too far or make her feel uncomfortable. When he sensed that Yin was running out of breath, he gently ended the kiss. Yin still had her eyes closed. Jungkook stared at her for a moment, then asked softly, "So, did it feel okay?" Yin slowly opened her eyes. She murmured, lowering her face in embarrassment. She suddenly felt extremely shy. Jungkook ran his fingers through her hair. "Don't be shy. I'm your husband," he said before planting a soft kiss on her forehead. "Alright, let's go to sleep." Yin smiled brightly and nodded enthusiastically. She wrapped her arms around Jungkook tightly and settled into sleep. Jungkook smiled to himself quietly. Tonight was enough. It was okay. At least their relationship was starting to grow, little by little. This afternoon, Yin was hanging out with her friends at a cafe near campus. They had just finished class. In 2 hours, they had an extra session because the professor in charge of the course had suddenly rescheduled. "I have the latest news." Yuju started her gossip session. Among Yuna, Yuju, Rose, and Yin, Yuju was the most updated about everything happening on campus. She had many friends from different majors and faculties. "What is it?" "I don't want to hear it if it's useless," Yuna replied, annoyed. Yuju often shared silly information that sometimes irritated them. Yuju shook her head dramatically. "No, this time it's hot news. Not many people know about it yet because it's being kept tightly under wraps." "Then how do you know?" Yin asked, puzzled. Yuju smiled smugly. "I have a reliable informant." Rose rolled her eyes. "Enough already. Just spill it. You talk too much," she scolded. Yuju chuckled, adjusted her seat, and looked at each of her friends one by one. "Yesterday, someone saw Minji and Minho coming out of the restroom together." She paused, clearly enjoying the shocked faces of her friends. "And you know what? They came out looking messy and rushed." "You mean they?" "Yes, Yuna, just like you're thinking. They were doing it in the campus restroom. Can you believe their guts?" "But it's not certain, right? Maybe Minho was helping Minji with something?" Rose tried to think positively. "Helping with what? Satisfying Minho?" Yuju replied with a small laugh. Minji's clothes were a mess, totally wrinkled, and the top to buttons of her shirt were undone. She even had a kiss mark on her neck. They're a couple. Why else would they be in the restroom together? Minji and Minho were a well-known couple on campus. Minho was a basketball player, and Minji was a cheerleader for the team. They had been dating for a year. No wonder Minji's suddenly looked bigger. Turns out she's been playing around with Minho. Yuna's comment triggered laughter at the table. Only Yin sat there with a furrowed brow. She was confused by the whole situation. "What are you guys even talking about? I don't get it," Yin protested, annoyed at being the only one out of the loop. The three turned toward her in unison, blinking in disbelief. "Yin, you seriously don't get what we've been talking about?" Yin shook her head honestly, making the three girls exchange looks. Yuju sighed in frustration. She had assumed that after getting married, Yin would know more about adult matters, but apparently not. Minho and Minji met in the campus restroom. Yin gasped. "What? How could they? They're not even married," she said, shocked. "Well, you don't have to be married to do that. As long as both parties agree, it's possible," Yuna said casually, nodding along with Yuju and Rose. "Besides, they're a couple. It's natural if they do it consensually. What surprises us is that they did it on campus." "Exactly. And honestly, we've done it too." "You guys have?" Yin was now truly shocked. "Yes, Why are you so surprised, Yin? Rose asked, puzzled. You've seen us kiss our boyfriends before, right? It was true. Yin had seen them kiss their boyfriends passionately in their cars in the campus parking lot, but she never thought her friends had gone beyond kissing. She began to feel uneasy as they kept talking about those things. Yin wasn't comfortable. Noticing Yin's strange reaction, Yuna became curious. Yin, don't tell me you haven't done it with your husband yet? Yin went silent. It was as if she'd been caught red-handed. Seeing her silence, Yuju was shocked. Her eyes widened. Yin, seriously? You haven't done it with senior Jungkook? How is that possible? She asked in disbelief. If I were you, I would have devoured senior Jungkook already. How could you resist a body that hot? Rose's voice this time made Yin glare sharply at her. Her eyes narrowed sharply, and her lips pouted. She didn't like what Rose had just said. No other woman should be touching her husband. Rose chuckled softly. She knew Yin was jealous. I'm kidding, Yin. Don't take it seriously. Rose laughed. I already have Bam Bam, who's ready to do that to me. Yuna looked at Yin in amusement. I feel sorry for senior Jungkook. He must be suffering, holding back his desire. She chuckled and shook her head. What do you mean? Yin asked, still confused. Yuju let out a soft sigh. It was time to give Yin a bit of education. Yin, senior Jungkook is a grown man and already married. You're his wife. As a husband, of course, he has the desire to do that to you. Yuju tried to explain gently so Yin would understand. You should have learned about that before getting married, so you'd know how to satisfy your husband, Yuju added. But he never asked me to do that with him, Yin said, trying to defend herself. Really? Rose squinted suspiciously. Yes, really. He never asked or invited me, Yin repeated, because her husband truly never said anything like that. At least that's how she saw it. So, you don't want to? Yuju asked curiously. Well, no, I've never tried it, so why would I want to? I don't believe Jungkook never asked you, Yuna said in disbelief. Yin shook her head. It's true. He only ever asked for kisses. That's it? Nothing else? Yin started to feel annoyed. Why didn't her friends believe her? But suddenly, she remembered something. Oh, he once asked me to wear weird clothes. Weird? Yes. Like not even real clothes. Very thin, and just lace. You mean lingerie? Yin nodded. Yes, that's what it's called. Oh my god, Yin. That means your husband already gave you a sign. He wants you, Yin. You're just not picking up on it. Yin furrowed her brows. Does getting married always mean the husband will ask for that? Not necessarily, right? Maybe he's just like me, not interested. Her three friends glanced at each other, then looked at Yin with expressions of disbelief mixed with amusement. Yin, are you really that innocent or just pretending to be? Yuna asked, trying to hold back her laughter. I'm not innocent, Yin quickly defended. I'm just not ready yet. I mean, we've only been married for a few weeks, and I'm still in college, so I thought he would wait too. Yuju shook her head slowly. Being married means you're officially husband and wife, and intimacy is a part of marriage, Yin. But, yeah, if he's able to hold himself back, that means he really respects you. Rose added in a tone she rarely used. That means Jungkook really honors you. Maybe he knows you're not ready, so he's holding himself back. But don't keep being unaware, or he might misunderstand. Yuna looked at Yin gently, this time without her usual teasing smile. Yin, we're not forcing you, but this is something important for you to understand. It's a basic need for an adult man, especially one who's married. Rose nodded in agreement. Especially if your husband is healthy, and you are too. It's natural and normal. Don't be too insensitive for too long, or Jungkook might start feeling like you don't desire him. That could really hurt him. Yuju chimed in, her tone more serious this time. In my opinion, Jungkook's been patient enough. He hasn't pressured you at all. That means he truly respects you. But you also need to learn how to understand him. Marriage is about giving and understanding each other. And that doesn't mean you have to do it if you're truly not ready, Yuna quickly added, so Yin wouldn't feel pressured. But think about it carefully. Are you really not ready? Or have you just not allowed yourself to open up yet? Yin lowered her head slowly, her heart starting to waver. She knew her friends weren't judging her. They were trying to help her understand a side of marriage she might not have considered. And she began to realize, maybe all this time, without meaning to, she had been too focused on herself and forgot to consider Jungkook's feelings. And if things continued like this, it would be her who was being selfish, not Jungkook. How long did she plan to stay like this? Yin shook her head quickly at herself. She loved Jungkook. She didn't want him to misunderstand and think she didn't understand or care for him. But when it came to that part of marriage, Yin was still completely inexperienced. Seeing the conflict on Yin's face, Rose understood. She pulled something out from her bag and handed Yin a flash drive. "Watch the videos on this flash drive. You'll understand things better later," Rose said with a mischievous grin. Yuna and Yuju held back their laughter. They already knew what kind of videos Rose meant. They had watched them together, without Yin of course. As soon as she entered the room, curiosity completely took over Yin. She immediately grabbed her laptop from the table, turned it on, and plugged in the flash drive Rose had given her. Without much thought, she played the video labeled faintly, "For education only." Lying on her stomach on the bed, Yin began watching, but only a minute in, her face was already flushed deep red. Her eyes widened, her lips slightly parted in surprise. "Oh my god," she whispered softly, one hand instinctively covering her mouth. Her heart pounded hard. She was embarrassed, deeply embarrassed, but for some reason, she forced herself to keep watching, occasionally biting her lower lip. However, because she was so focused and immersed in the scene, Yin didn't notice the sound of the bedroom door opening. Jungkook stood at the doorway, watching his wife, completely absorbed, lying on her stomach, watching something, her body showing strange signs he'd never seen before. Yin was still completely focused on the screen, unaware of the footsteps drawing closer. "What are you watching?" Yin jolted in shock. She quickly turned around and found Jungkook already standing behind her. She looked utterly flustered. She tried to cover the laptop screen, but Jungkook was quicker and took it from her hands. Jungkook's eyes widened in surprise. No wonder he'd heard strange sounds coming from the video when he entered the room. "You were watching this video, baby?" Jungkook asked in disbelief. Damn, Yin was caught red-handed. Her face turned even redder, like a boiled crab. "Jungkook, Yin stammered. She couldn't defend herself. She'd been completely busted. Jungkook looked back at the laptop screen for a moment, then returned his gaze to his wife's flushed face, unsure of how to respond to the awkward situation. His lips moved like he was about to say something, but instead, he simply smirked. "So this is what you've been secretly watching?" he asked in a teasing tone, eyes narrowing, not out of anger, but amusement. In fact, there was a strange warmth in his chest, knowing that Yin was trying to understand something they had never openly talked about. Yin lowered her head even more, her face nearly buried in the pillow. It wasn't my idea," she mumbled softly, almost inaudible. "Rose gave it to me. She said it was for education." Jungkook chuckled quietly, setting the laptop aside. He gently brushed away the hair covering her face. "And you got curious and decided to watch it alone?" Yin nodded slowly, then mustered the courage to look at him. I just wanted to know about that. After my friends talked to me a lot earlier, I started thinking maybe it's time I try to understand these things." Jungkook smirked. "So, my innocent little wife isn't that innocent anymore?" he teased, making Yin pout. "I only watched it this one time," she said quickly. "They said I need to learn so I can understand you and make you happy." Jungkook shook his head, silently trying to contain his affection. Yin was still Yin, still, the sweet, pure-hearted girl whose mind was untainted. "What did your friends say?" Yin bit her bottom lip nervously. "They said I was being too much, and that I should understand that you're a healthy, grown man who's married, so of course, you'd actually want to do it with me." Jungkook went silent, still gazing into her eyes, which made her even more nervous. But eventually, she found the courage to ask the question that had been eating at her curiosity. "Jungkook, is it true that you want to do it with me?" Jungkook smiled, trying to hold back a laugh, then sighed softly. "Yes, it's true." "Then why didn't you say anything?" Jungkook was at a loss for words. The truth was, he hadn't wanted to pressure Yin, which was why he never asked directly. "I was just trying to be understanding, in case you weren't ready." Hearing that made Yin feel even more guilty. He had been so patient, truly trying to understand her. And now, it was her turn to start understanding him. Seeing the gloomy look on Yin's face, Jungkook sat down at the edge of the bed. He smiled, gazing at his wife with soft, tender eyes. "I'm glad you want to learn. It means we're making progress in our relationship. I never forced you, but I won't lie. Honestly, almost every night I've been waiting for you to be ready." Yin looked at Jungkook, hearing clearly what her husband truly desired. She couldn't tear her eyes away from his charm. Jungkook gently stroked Yin's cheek, then let his fingers trail down to her lower lip. "But if you want to learn," Jungkook's voice suddenly grew low and husky, "you don't need to watch videos," he said even more softly. "I can teach you, myself." Yin's breathing grew rapid. The air, once cold, suddenly felt hot. Jungkook's gaze and the way his thumb brushed against her lower lip made it impossible for Yin to think clearly. For some reason, she craved more of him. "Do you want it, baby?" Jungkook whispered huskily in her ear. He deliberately bit her ear gently, then moved down to her slender neck. Yin tilted her head slightly and leaned back, as if giving Jungkook permission to explore her neck further. Jungkook left a few kiss marks there. It seemed like he was starting to lose control. "Baby, answer me." His gaze was soft as he looked at Yin's already flushed face. Yin nodded. "I do." Hearing that, Jungkook let out a small smirk. Finally, this was the moment he had been waiting for all along. Every night, he had longed for his wife, and tonight, his beautiful wife had finally given herself to him. "This is our first time. I'm going to make this a night you'll never forget." Jungkook began by kissing her lips fiercely, as if he had been yearning for her for so long. She willingly returned her husband's kiss the best she could, though despite having learned a bit, Jungkook was still the dominant one. And that night, Jungkook's wait finally came to an end. He moved to her over and over, to his heart's content, until he finally stopped, unable to bear seeing his wife so completely exhausted.